Hello, my name is Jeff Goodman. I'm with GE Aviation's Customer Technical Education Center, and I'm here today to talk about the Interstage strainer of the main fuel pump of the GE engine. We have experienced some damage to this Interstage strainer during installation, which will not be found until the next time the strainer is removed. Of course, the first step to removing the Interstage strainer is to drain the fuel out, making sure that the spar valve in the wing is closed. We will then remove the 3 drain plugs, which are clearly marked with the word drain on them, put new O-rings on them, reinstall, and re-safety wire as necessary. You will notice that there are 3 bolts holding the Interstage strainer on, and in addition to that, there are 2 threaded holes in the flange to use as jack screws to remove the Interstage strainer. With the fuel system drained, we can now remove the 3 bolts that hold the Interstage strainer. Using 2 of the bolts as our jack screws to remove the Interstage strainer. Now, alternately screwing in the 2 jack screws, we will remove the Interstage strainer. Here we are looking into the mounting port for the strainer of the fuel pump, and there at the far end of the housing you can see a step where the first preform packing of the strainer must engage. There is a lip there, and if you do not install it correctly, you could get the strainer caught on that lip, and as you install the bolts and tighten them, you can crush the Interstage strainer. Here is a good installable Interstage strainer. If it is installed incorrectly, you could either crush the strainer material, or in this photograph you can see that we crushed the aft end of the Interstage strainer. If that Interstage strainer gets caught on that lip up inside of the pump housing, that's what can cause the crushing. Damage to the Interstage strainer occurs when people install the strainer, start the bolts, and then try to draw the flanges together by tightening the bolts. That's when it can catch on the edge, and we will not have any tactile feel. You will not realize that you are crushing it because of the mechanical advantage you have with the threads on the screw. So do not do it this way. So the proper way to install the Interstage strainer is to do it completely by hand, by putting it into the housing, wiggling it around until you get your preform packing at the forward side engaged. Align your bolts, and you can see the gap that you have, but that can still cause problems, and so we want to get it completely seated by hand so that there's no gap between the flanges before we install our bolts. Now we can install, tighten, and torque our bolts to the proper torque specification in the manual. So that's it for this Maintenance Minute from GE Aviation Customer Technical Education Center. Appreciate your watching. We'll see you next time.